No, I'm recording. Okay.
Did we just put the tray back forward?
No, hold on to it. We're gonna put your lab notebooks in that if you want to, if you don't want to carry it around. Okay, so everybody should have their name on the front with Sharpie, and you're all going to get the tape that we're going to pass around that you guys are going to put on the outside. Then we'll be putting your trays back in there. So we're going to stash your lab notebooks in there. Also, when we start doing experiments that are going to take multiple days, this way you guys won't have to like grab all of your stuff. Every time you're going to have a space where you can put things in your tray and have it. You can put whatever you want in that tray. And that way you guys will have it and you won't have to like get your materials every single time that we start a lab, which will be really nice. Okay, so what is a lab notebook? Lab notebooks are central to science. Even with the advent of technology, the lab notebook is the way that scientists go. It's a complete record of the procedures, reagents, data, and thoughts to pass on to other researchers. This is one of the big things that I think you will take away from this class is learning how to set up a lab notebook. It's going to be important for you in college. So, why experiments were initiated, how they're performed, results, comments. It's a place to compile all of their data, charts, photos, ideas, place of clues to troubleshoot problems. If you want to go back into history, you can even see all different kinds of people's lab notebooks. Even like Marie Curie, her lab notebooks and everything that she did on her research and radiation, it's being held in a vault, a concrete vault. You have to wear like a nuclear suit to be able to access it. But you can still go and see all of her papers in lab, everything that she did. So it's important to record it and keep it. So we're just going to practice doing this. Also, a great example of the way a lab notebook came into effect was like in the example of Watson and Crick. There were two different people that came up with the idea of DNA almost at the same time. And the way they decided who they were going to give credit to the discovery, lab notebooks and the dates that were written on there. So it's important to defend against accusations of fraud or lawsuits, who came up with what first. Those are all good reasons. So how important is the lab notebook? It is very important. Often it has all of the original data in it. You have to be really careful with your notebooks. Okay, so the lab notebook format. I believe that the lab notebooks that I picked for you guys this year already have numbered pages. Is that correct? Perfect. Okay, that means you can't rip the pages out, folks. You have to leave them in order. We will be writing on one side because these are carbon copies. If you've never done anything with a carbon copy, an important thing to know is that little flap that you guys have on your lab notebook is also to prevent you from writing on the next page. So when you open this up, it has lab safety in it, which we don't need. But when you get to page one will be the regular page and one will be the copy. Okay? What you have to do is, and you have to remember to do this because it'll mess up your whole notebook if you don't, is you have to put this flap down in between, like this. So then whatever you write on this first page, it's going to make a copy of it on your second page. In normal times, that would be the way that I would be grading. I would say, all right, rip out your copy. Probably this year, I'm going to have you guys submit it, a picture of it or something like that instead, because we are trying to avoid. But I didn't want you to not have your lab notebooks because I think it is a really important part of what you're going to learn in this class this year. So that being said, you have to make sure that you put the paper there, or whatever you write on will go as hard as you press. All right, so it says the first 4 pages in the notebook are left blank for the table of contents. We're not going to be doing that many labs, so there is just a table of contents paper there for you in the beginning. You will write the date, the experiment, and what page number it starts on in your table of contents and keep this up to date. For labs for 121. Is that right? Is that the right number? So your table of content will have your name of your experiment and your page numbers on it so that you can look at it on a regular basis. Okay, so every experiment should include the lab number and title. We probably aren't going to have lab numbers, but we will have a title for every lab. On every single page, you will write the date, and there's a place at the top for experiment number, experiment subject, so the name of your lab, your name, your lab partners, the date. You guys aren't going to have lockers or drawer numbers, so that won't matter. The reason we record things like that are sometimes you may be getting false results, and if they will go and check your drawer, like at a lot of different universities, you will have your own drawer with all of your materials, and you're the only one that has access to that drawer because it'll have a key. So then if you're getting like false results, your professor could come and check your drawer and be like, oh, you have a contaminant in here, or something like that to help you. That's why it's really important that we record that drawer number. The purpose or objectives of the lab, you'll be writing those for every lab we do. Procedure followed. Now here's the deal. You aren't going to have to rewrite the entire procedure for every lab that we do, okay? But you are going to have to say where you got the information from. So you're going to have to reference the procedures. We're going to be doing procedures starting here tomorrow, probably. And you're going to be you're going to perform that procedure from, it is actually from a lab manual, but I took pictures of it in a PDF form and uploaded them to Schoology for you. So I will give you that information of where those procedures are coming from. So each experiment should also include a sketch of the apparatus used. So if it's something that we don't normally do or you've never done before, you would draw a picture of it in your lab notebook. It doesn't have to be pretty, but you need to know what it is. You could label it. If you're if you're not a great artist and you're like, I'm not going to know what this is in 2 weeks. You can label it like, this is a burette stand and that's a burette. And underneath there I have, my Erlenmeyer flask with a stir in it on a, hot pad or whatever it is you guys are doing. You can label that so that you know what it looks like. You can't record too many details in your lab notebook. The more you write down, the better off you're going to be. Qualitative observation should always be in a table, and the table needs a number and a title. So whenever you do an experiment and you make a table, you'll have table 1. If you go and you do something else, you'll write it table 2, and you will make sure and title those tables. All data has units on it, and it has to be in the table if possible. So you're not going to write just like down 2. It needs to say 2 grams or 2 milliliters or whatever it is. Don't assume that you're going to remember that when you look back on it, especially like some of these professors are doing research for years. I mean, they have years worth of lab notebooks. When they go back and look at that stuff, they need to make sure they know what they were doing. Any calculations that you used and equations, and your signature on every page. I believe it's at the bottom. Is that right? Yep. So you will sign off. I will be signing off on your labs before you start. So you guys will be doing like pre-labs. There are, so for the beginning, you will have like your title. You're going to have your purpose. You'll have the procedure. You will at least reference it. You'll have made any tables that you possibly can. You'll have answered pre-lab questions. All that has got to be done before we start. Lab instructor must initial the pages of your book. All right. Okay, here's some general rules. General rule number 1, you have to write in ink. And it isn't, it can't be marker. It has to be like a ballpoint pen or a gel pen that presses down. That is how the carbon works. So you have to. You can't write in pencil. No whiteout or erasing. If there is an error, you cross it out with a single line. And you do that, so at the end, when you're doing your conclusions, you can see what your error was, and you will remember that, and you can do that. Also, that way you know if there is something wrong. You will also initial and date whenever you cross something out. So let's say you do the pre-lab, you get approved, you go into the lab, you start working on it, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, that's not right. Okay, no problem. Mark it out, initial it, and start and write again. Data is to be recorded directly into the lab notebook. You're not going to write it on a piece of paper towel or whatever else you have out. You're supposed to write it right into the lab notebook. We are going to write on the right side of our lab notebook. There should be a line down the middle. Yes, good job. So we are going to write on the right side. The left side is for calculations, rough work, space for notes. If you have to mark something out and you need space, you can use the left side to rewrite it, but you only use the right side of the notebook. Never tear out your pages. Anytime that you get to the end and you're done, you can make an X through the page so that you know that that's it, but you're not going to tear out pages and move on. Is that it? That's it. Anybody got questions on our lab notebook or setup? Okay, so that being said, we've got like 15 minutes, so I want you guys to go ahead and get ready for the first lab. So if you go to Schoology, I think it is, pretty sure I posted it in there for you. Yeah, density of a regular solid. This is not you. Sorry. Yeah, yours is much more. Here we go. Okay, so we're going to start with the mass lab, and it is right there. If you open this up, this is a scanned PDF, and I will get you the name. Oh, there it is on there. This is the name of the book that it was taken from. Experiment number 1, laboratory balance, mass determination. So you need to read through this. You need to write out what your purpose is. You need to answer your pre-lab questions all in your lab notebook. And then you need to make any tables that you think you will want for tomorrow. And these are going to be questions that you're going to do at the end. You guys got questions on what we're doing for the rest of today? Okay. Yes. Your what? What's wrong? Okay. So if you don't get done prepping for lab for tomorrow, you're going to want to take this home. If you do get done and you want to leave your lab notebooks here, you can leave them in the tray. Yes, Chrissy. You don't have a list? You don't have a pen? No problem.